Putin orders hundreds of U.S. diplomats to leave Russia. Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered 755 U.S. diplomats to leave the country in retaliation for Congress approving new sanctions for Moscow's interference in the 2016 presidential election. "We waited for quite some time that maybe something will change for the better, had such hope that the situation will somehow change, but, judging by everything, if it changes, it will not be soon," Putin said in an interview on Russian television, according to Interfax news agency. Putin made good on a threat he issued on Friday when he said he would expel 455 U.S. diplomatic staff in Russia and seize 2 American properties after the Senate and the House voted overwhelmingly for new sanctions against Moscow. The diplomats have to leave Russia by September 1. He said the ouster of the U.S. diplomatic personnel will put the 2 former Cold War foes on equal footing. The personnel of the U.S. diplomatic missions in Russia will be cut by 755 people and will now equal the number of the Russian diplomatic personnel in the United States, 455 people on each side, Putin said. The Russian president left open the possibility that he could take additional measures against the U.S. "I am against it as of today," he said. Earlier Sunday, Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov, appearing on ABC's This Week, said retaliation is long overdue after the Senate voted so overwhelmingly on a completely weird and unacceptable piece of legislation. It was the last drop. Asked how Russia would strike back, Ryabkov said the Kremlin has a long list of options. "We have a very rich toolbox at our disposal. It would be ridiculous on my part to start speculating on what may or may not happen," he said, adding, "I can assure you that different options are on the table and consideration is being given to all sorts of things." Russia has denied it meddled in the election despite the U.S. intelligence community concluding otherwise. The Senate approved the bill by a 98-2 vote last week. The House previously approved the measure by a 419-3 margin. It awaits President Trump's signature, and the White House said he intends to sign it. Russia has denied meddling in the election despite the U.S. intelligence community concluding otherwise. A number of congressional panels, as well as the FBI and Special Counsel Robert Mueller, are investigating Russian involvement and whether Trump-associated colluded. Moscow is also still fuming over former President Obama's decision in December to oust 35 diplomats and seize 2 Russian diplomatic compounds in Maryland and Long Island because of the Kremlin's involvement in the election. Still, Ryabkov said he hopes that the U.S. and Russia can find common ground on other issues. "I believe there are several areas where the U.S. and Russia can and should work together cooperatively. Non-proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, countering terrorism, illicit immigration, trafficking in people, climate change, you name it," he said.